Welcome back to the class. That is, we are dealing with the chapter microbes in human welfare. In that, major of the part is covered, and then we are almost to the end of the chapter. So again, in that, one of the most important thing for your 1 mark question, multiple choice question, and then 2 mark question, 3 mark question will arise from this area. That is, microbes as biocontrol agent. In this session, we are going to learn how actually the microbes are used in welfare with the farmers. Okay. Before going to that, what actually the biocontrol agents means? You should know. Biocontrol agents. The agents which are living to control the plant diseases and then pests. In simple words. Okay. Biocontrol agent means it refers to use of biological methods for controlling plant diseases and pests. Because as you all people know, agriculture is threatened by many of the pathogens and the pests and the diseases which are going to cause for the plants, isn't it? Our farmers are always threatened with this. To control over them, what happens? We are going to use many of the chemical pesticides. Okay, many of the pesticides were used. Those all are called what? Chemical pesticides. These chemical pesticides, what they do, they will be acting on whatever the disease and then whatever the pests are there, no? The insects and then whatever the insecticides are there, weedicides are there, pesticides are there. These all chemicals. Under the chemicals, we are getting insecticides which will be act on insects. Okay. The next pesticides, insecticide which acts on insects, and weedicides which acts on weeds. Weeds are nothing but the plants which are not helpful for the farmers. Okay, like Parthenium and these all. Okay, chemical pesticides. What happens? Yeah, of course, I agree that these chemical pesticides are helpful for the stoppage of growth of the insects and then weedicides. But along with that, what happens? These pesticides will be toxicant to even useful organisms. Yes, of course, these chemical pesticides will decrease the growth of the weeds and then pathogens, insects, worms, which are freed on our crop plant, isn't it? Yeah, one era was there which is called as Green Revolution. In this, during the Green Revolution, many of the countries were having the high yield due to use of the hybridization and then chemical pesticides. First thing was when the Green Revolution was started. During that first thing was useful was hybridization. Okay, due to the hybridization, many of the crops were yielded very fast. And second one is one of the usage of the chemical pesticide. Yeah, chemical pesticide was very acting on insects and then weed side and then whatever the worms are there which are affecting for the farmer's crop. But along with that, they were trying to whenever the farmer are going to use often and often these kind of chemical pesticide, it is going to harm the useful organisms also. Okay, they are harming useful organisms also, and as well as when the chemical pesticides are going to use for the crops, when that crop we are going to consume, the human beings when they are going to consume, we are getting many of the diseases, and that leads to and they are became like a carcinogens also. Okay, carcinogenic. These chemical became carcinogenic means which leads for the cancer in the human. Okay, whenever the more pesticide like DDT and all they are there, those all are like pesticides only. When that pesticide, that chemical pesticides are going to use in the crops, what happened when that crop is consumed by humans, we are under the carcinogenic threatened. Okay, means cancer will come for the organisms. Okay, that's what happens. And along with this there will be pollution. Along with this, by using of chemical pesticide, what happens, there will be pollution of soil, water, vegetables, fruits and etc. many of the crops. Why? Because when you are using more and more chemical pesticide, then what happens, there will be more pollution in the soil and then water. And rather than that, nowadays what happens, from years and years ago, we have started the using of chemical pesticide. As the chemical pesticide as using much more years back, nowadays the insects are what, they are not at all able to sensitive for them, means they are adapted for that pesticide. Now they are not at all sensitive for that, so they are not at all affected by that chemical pesticide. But rather than that, those chemical pesticides are affecting to the soil, water, vegetable and all. Because of these, by rather than using chemical pesticides, it is very useful to, instead of using chemical pesticide, we can use biocontrol agents, or else we can go for the trying to eradicate pest and then pathogens through chemical. It is better to use the biological agent for the controlling of them. What are the biocontrolling agents? Those all biocontrolling agents are called biopesticides. Those all biocontrolling agents are called what, children? Biopesticides. Okay. Biopesticides are mostly used in organic farming. Organic farming means it refers to non-usage of chemical pesticides. Organic farming means it is usage of what? Non-chemical pesticides. Chemical fertilizers kill non-targeted organisms, isn't it? Which leads to carcinogenic also, means for the cancer also, and then it is also harming the environment. Rather than that, when we are going to use biopesticides in under the organic farming, what happens here, there will be organic farming refers to what? Non-usage of any kind of the chemical pesticides. And I would like to simplify the NCERT book, children, by referring the many of the books. I made different criteria. In your NCERT, he gave in a paragraph. Okay, you read line by line of that and then refer my notes also. Okay, biopesticides broadly categorized into two groups. One is bioherbicide, and one more I am grouping it in a bioinsecticide, biopesticide and then bioinsecticide. These are the two groups of what? Biopesticides. Okay. Now, here bioherbicide means what? Bio means what? Living component. Okay. Which is used to control any of the weed population. Okay. Here the living organism, the living compound, sorry, not organism, organism also we can say, living component used to control the weed population. Used to control the weed population. Best example I can say Parthenium. Okay, Parthenium is not at all useful for the farmers, but Parthenium growth, Parthenium population growth will be very faster in between the useful crop. Okay, if the farmer is going to get rid of with the population of wheat, he can go for many of the bioherbicides are there. Okay, now bioinsecticide. Bioinsecticide means what? Using living components, using of the living component to control the insects. Okay, to control what? Insect. If by using of living component, if we are controlling the insect population, then it is called bioinsecticide. The name itself says. If we are controlling weed population by using living component, then it is called bioherbicide. Herbicide, only herbicide means it is a compound which is controlling the weed population. Bioherbicide means living. Bio in the sense living. Okay, is that clear? I hope everybody is following. Next, now one by one we are going to discuss first one and then second one. First one, that is bioherbicides. Here under the bioherbicide in NCERT, they are not much more focused on the bioherbicide, but by the many of the books I collected many of the examples for that, so it is very helpful for your MCQs, NEET point of view and then CET point of view. Because of that, please be concentration on this. Okay, bioherbicides. Under this, I am going to give you many of the examples. Like first one, the first bioherbicide was developed in the year 1961. First, what children? First bioherbicide was developed in the year 1961, that is in Japan. Okay, it was okay, in the year in which year the first bioherbicide was developed? In the year 1961. Yes, it is developed in the year 1961. Now, and which was actually the first bioherbicide which was developed? That is called mycoherbicides. Okay, mycoherbicide. Myco in the sense what? Fungus. Okay, by using of fungus, the herbicide were developed, and that fungus name here it is very important. Phytophthora palmivora. What is that name? Phytophthora. Phytophthora. Phytophthora palmivora. Phytophthora palmivora. This is the name of what? The fungus. Okay, this is the name of what, children? Fungus. Okay, and now mycoherbicide means the many of the herbicides which came from the fungus, which is the first fungus used for the development of mycoherbicide, Phytophthora palmivora. Okay, and it is used to control the milkweed plant. It is used to control what? It is used to control milkweed plant, which was very widely growing as a weed to citrus orchid. Okay, used to control what? Milkweed plant, which was grown very widely as a weed in what? In citrus plants. Orchid in the sense there will be tota anta ಏನು ಹೇಳ್ತೀವಲ್ಲ, ನಿಂಬೆ ಹಣ್ಣಿನ ತೋಟ ಆ ಥರ. Okay, means here 4 point I have written. You just keep in mind under the herbicides, I gave first example, that is about mycoherbicide. The first developed mycoherbicide was in the year 1961. Mycoherbicide in the sense nothing but the herbicide which is developed from the fungus. Is that clear? Yes, that. Which was the fungus which is used first time? Phytophthora palmivora. Phytophthora palmivora. I am repeating one again and again. Okay. And with this fungus, spores, when it is going to be used, then what happens? It will be under control of which plant? Milkweed. The milkweed plants are almost targeted, means milkweeds are going to be grow in between the citrus orchid. Okay, citrus means lemon or orange, any of the citrus plant you can say. In between those plants, these milkweeds were growing. To get rid of this milkweed, what we are going to use? We are going to use the spores of Phytophthora palmivora. In commercial means as a sachets, the spores, as it is a fungus means it will produce spores. In sachets, those spores are commercially sold out. The commercial name of the spores of this fungi is very important, asked for many of the times in the MCQs, that is Divine and Colago. Divine and what? Colago. These are the two commercial name of the spore sachet of what? Phytophthora palmivora, spore sachets. Spore sachets of the fungus Phytophthora palmivora. If I spray these spore sachets in my citrus orchid, means it will get rid of which weed? Milkweed, which I don't want to be in my orchid. Is that clear? ನಂದು ಲೆಮನ್ ಅಥವಾ ಸಿಟ್ರಸ್ ತೋಟದಲ್ಲಿ ಮಿಲ್ಕ್ ವೀಡ್ ಅನ್ನೋದು ಜಾಸ್ತಿಯಾಗಿ ಬೆಳೆದಾಗ ನನಗೆ ಆ ಮಿಲ್ಕ್ ವೀಡ್ ಬೇಕಾಗಿಲ್ಲ, ಬಿಕಾಸ್ ಆ ಮಿಲ್ಕ್ ವೀಡಿಂದ ಏನು ನನಗೆ ಯೂಸ್ ಇಲ್ಲ, ಹೌದಾ, ನನ್ನ ತೋಟಕ್ಕೆ ಏನು ಯೂಸ್ ಇಲ್ಲ ಅಂದಾಗ ನಾನು ಏನು ಯೂಸ್ ಮಾಡ್ಬೋದು? ಸ್ಪೋರ್ ಸ್ಯಾಚೆಟ್ ಆಫ್ ಫಂಗೈ, ಯಾವುದ್ರದ್ದು? ಫೈಟೋಫ್ಥೋರಾ ಪಾಲ್ಮಿವೋರಾ ಅನ್ನೋ ಫಂಗೈದು ಸ್ಪೋರ್ ಸ್ಯಾಚೆಟ್ಸ್ನ ನಾನು ಯೂಸ್ ಮಾಡ್ಬೋದು. ಅದ್ರದ್ದು ಕಮರ್ಷಿಯಲ್ ಹೆಸರೇನು? ಡಿವೈನ್ ಮತ್ತು Colago. Okay, this is very important for your MCQ point of view. And then one more I am going to give you here, Eichhornia. Okay, this is a very what I can say is Eichhornia craspus. It is a one kind of the weed which is aquatic plant actually. This aquatic weedicide is very widespread as because it shows the asexual reproduction. If to get rid of Eichhornia species weed, most troubling weed I can say, and then it is also called as terror of Bengal. In next one of the chapter is there, in that you are going to come to know. Whatever the next chapter I am going to discuss now, in that you are going to come to know why the Eichhornia is called as terror of Bengal, children. As it is, if I say, for idea's sake, for a pond, if I introduce only one Eichhornia, within a short of the period, what happens? That pond will be overall totally it is filled with Eichhornia. Yeah, no doubt in that, and there is no use also, because this Eichhornia, what it do, whatever the pond's oxygen will be there, that will be totally drained by this Eichhornia. When the Eichhornia is draining all the oxygen from the pond living organisms will die off. That's what it is called, the very dangerous weed, children. Okay, to get rid by this weed, that is Eichhornia, we are using a fungus that's name is Alternaria eichhorniae. Okay, that name of that fungus is Alternaria eichhorniae. Alternaria eichhorniae. Okay, Alternaria eichhorniae. And then commercial name for them is one more fungi is there, that is Cercospora rhodmani. Cercospora rhodmani. This is also a fungus. These two fungal spores we can use for get rid of what? Eichhornia species. To get rid of milkweed plant, which fungal spores we can use? Phytophthora palmivora. Make a list of this, okay? That will be very, very helpful for you. And then third, here I am going to give you, that is about the Apuntia. Okay, Apuntia means papaskalli anta naವೇನು ಕರಿತೀವಲ್ಲ ಅದು. Apuntia population is controlled, and it was one era was there where many of the Apuntias were overgrown. The population of the Apuntia was very, very, very more in India, and then many of the countries like Australia, and then many of the Japan and all. So one insect was used, name of that is Cactobastis cactorum. To control Apuntia, we used an insect. That insect name is Cactobastis cactorum. Okay, it is actually a arthropod. Okay, it is actually a arthropod. Which one? Cactobastis cactorus is what? Arthropod. It is actually arthropod. And usually you people know one of the very, very troubling weed is there, that is Parthenium. For Parthenium, to get rid from the Parthenium, we are using again a arthropod, that is Zygrama bicolorata. Zygrama bicolorata. I gave 4 examples for you. One is, to get rid of milkweed plant, we are going to use the spores of fungus Phytophthora palmivora, which is commercial name of that is divine, and then colago. And then to get rid of Eichhornia species, we are going to use fungus, that is Alternaria eichhorniae. To get rid of Apuntia, we are going to use Cactobastis cactorus. To get rid of Parthenium, we are using a bioherbicide, that is Zygrama bicolorata. Okay, these all are about bioherbicides. Now let us move towards the bioinsecticides. Okay, under the bioinsecticide, NCERT focused many of the information about the bioinsecticide. What actually bioinsecticide, children? Bioinsecticide means living component which are helpful to control the insects growth. Okay, here we are going to discuss about on the basis of one of the ecosystemic law, that is Prey-Predator Act. Okay, Prey-Predator Act means there will be particular predator for particular prey, like that. Same on this basis, in NCERT, in our NCERT, they gave 2 predators and 2 preys, that is, one is ladybird beetle, and one more is dragonflies. This ladybird beetle and then dragonfly. Ladybird in the sense the wings will be having black and then red background will be there. On that red background there will be a black spots will be there. Those are called what? Ladybird beetle. This ladybird beetle is a predator for a prey aphids. If farmers' crops are infected with aphids, farmers can naturally use natural predator ladybird beetle. If any of the crop is infected by mosquitoes, then we can use dragonflies. Okay, these two are the natural predators which act on a prey, aphids and mosquito. Ladybird beetle act on aphids means ladybird beetle eat aphids. Okay, dragonflies eats mosquitoes. So naturally these will be getting food, and then our farmers will get rid of mosquitoes and then aphids if the field is affected with these two. Is that clear? Yes, that's good. One more is there, this is given in your NCERT. Rather than this, one more I am giving, that is potato beetle. Potato beetle. If a farmer should get rid of potato beetle, means he can use fungal spore, that is Entomophthora ignobilis. Entomophthora ignobilis. It is a fungus. If potato field is affected with potato beetle, then what you are going to use? Are you going to use dragonflies? No, you are going to use Entomophthora ignobilis. If a field is affected with mosquitoes, then you are going to use natural predator dragonflies. That's very good. If field is affected with aphids, then you are going to use natural predator ladybird beetle. That's very good. Next, one more and then very important, and which is also mentioned very stressfully in your NCERT, that is about a bacteria, Bacillus thuringiensis. Bacillus thuringiensis. This is a bacteria which is very helpful in the field of crop. So what is the shortcut for this? BT. BT in the sense, BT long form Bacillus thuringiensis. It is nothing but it is a bacteria. I am clearly mentioning here, it is a bacteria. Okay. There are many of the larvae which are affecting for many of the crops, for the cotton, for the cabbage crop, and then for corn, everything. There are many of the larvae which are going to be affected. Okay, for those larvae, this is the main, what can I say, this is the main insecticide, main bioinsecticide which can get rid of them. For example, for cotton, there is a much more effect of cotton bollworm. It is a larvae. And for corn, there is effect of corn borer. For cabbage field, there is effect of cabbage looper. Okay, all of the larvae of these insects, what happens? These insects larvae are going to affect on the field of cotton, corn, and then cabbage. To get rid of them, we are going to use the bacteria. Which one is Bacillus thuringiensis. This bacteria is a soil bacteria, children. It is what? It is a soil bacterium. Okay, and it produces a toxin which is called thurin. It produces a, okay, this bacteria, which one, Bacillus thuringiensis, it is actually a soil bacterium, means naturally producing bacteria it is, which present in the soil. Okay, which produces a toxin, is consumed by the larvae. Okay, by which larvae? By these all larvae. When those larvae will consume the toxin which is produced by this bacteria, then what happens? The toxin will act on the gut of the insect. When the toxin is acting on the gut of the insect, what happens? Due to that larva will die off. Okay, I will be telling you once again, I will repeat about this, but don't worry. And then spore sachets, as we discussed the fungal sachets, no, the spore sachets of this bacteria, the commercial sachets of this bacteria is named as Biostol, Thurioside, and Sporin. These three are the commercial name of what? Name of sachets. Name of what? Sachets of the Bacillus thuringiensis. Okay. Now, how actually this is going to be work? When the soil is having Bacillus thuringiensis, okay, when the soil is having the Bacillus thuringiensis, or else you are going to use the Bacillus thuringiensis spray, or else the sachets. When the sachets are going to be mixed in the water, and then when you are going to use a spray on your cotton field which is affected by cotton bollworm, then what happens? Cotton bollworm larva will feed. Okay, that will be feed on the whatever the cotton will be there. Then along with that, what happens? Along with the cotton plant, the toxin which is released by Bacillus thuringiensis will enter the larva. Okay, enter the larval digestive system, and this toxin will get activated in the gut, because in that gut there will be specific pH. Due to that specific pH only, what happens? That toxin will be activated. When that toxin is activated, this larva will stop feeding and die off. This is about the Bacillus thuringiensis. Okay, this is nowadays there are many of the commercial names are there. Because of using genetic engineering, this bacterial gene directly introducing to the seeds of the many of the crops. That's what BT cotton, BT brinjal, BT tomato, you heard I think. Okay, these all are the crops which are genetically engineered in seed level. But in this chapter we are only discussing what actually it is. Okay, to get rid of cotton bollworm, corn borer, cabbage loopers, and some of the insects, which is going to use? The used is Bacillus thuringiensis. I hope everybody is following. And then what is the commercial name of that? Biostol, Thurioside, or else Sporin, I can say. This is about the bioinsecticide. Rather than this, next is we are going to discuss about one of the very important, that is baculoviruses. Okay. See, biopesticides may include many of the bacteria, fungi, viruses. We discussed almost all bacteria and then fungi. Now we are going to discuss about the viruses group. Viruses, usually their genetic material will be RNA children, but the baculoviruses will be having the DNA as their genetic material. Baculoviruses are the viruses which contain DNA as their genetic material, and DNA as their genetic material, and they attacks to whom? Insects. You know, many of the group of the bacteria are there, many of the group of the viruses are there which are going to attack bacteria. Those are called bacteriophages. Many of the viruses are there which are going to attack human beings. Many of the viruses are there which are going to attack many of the group of the organisms. The baculovirus, specifically the baculoviruses, are the group of the viruses which are going to attack only to what? Insects. Because we are learning now our main target is insect, to get rid of insects. That's what. Okay, these are the group of viruses which are going to attack on whom? Insects. So that's what. Viruses that attacks insects are called baculoviruses, and they belongs to the genus. This is very very important for your 1 mark point of view and for your MCQ point. Nucleopolyhedrovirus. Okay, in short it is called NVP. Expand NVP means nucleopolyhedrovirus. Expand NVP, nucleopolyhedrovirus. The baculoviruses belong to the genus. Which genus it belongs to? Nucleopolyhedrovirus. It belongs to the what children? It belongs to the genus Nucleopolyhedrovirus. And what actually, why we are going to focus this much? Say this this virus is having much more importance and then much more advantages are there. For your NCERT sake, he gave two advantages. In that first advantage, they are species specific. What? They are species specific. Means what? One baculovirus will attack only one kind of species of insects only. That's what it is called, species specific. For particular species of insect, you can use particular viruses. Other species of insects won't affect by this, because if your targeting insect is one, and then if you are going to use a virus for everything, there will be no use of that. That's what species specific means. If I am going to target a specific insect, I am going to use a specific baculoviruses. And then second one, he gave that they are narrow spectrum. They are what? Narrow spectrum. They are what children? They are narrow spectrum. What it means? They are narrow spectrum means they attack only targeted species. They won't attack for widespread species. If they are going to attack for widespread species, there will be many of the organisms without affecting to the crop, they are going to lose their life. Okay, we don't want that. Whatever the insects which are going to affect for the crops, now we just want get rid of them. Okay, for that purpose, these two are the advantages. They will be asked for 2 marks, and then expansion of NPV, it is going to be asked for the 1 mark. Okay, and here this baculovirus commonly used by IPM. The baculoviruses are commonly used by IPM, that is integrated pest management. This is also for 1 mark. Integrated pest management. This is one of the pest management whereas we are going to target a pest and then we are going to use many kind of the viruses. Under the integrated pest managers, many of the insects were going to be get rid of from the crops. And then last one, we are going to discuss about a fungus. See children, up to this we discussed about many of the bacteria, many of the fungus, and then many of the viruses. Now one of the very important fungus under this is about trichoderma. What? It is very important. Many of the times for your theory purpose and for your NEET purpose also it is given. Trichoderma hergianum. Trichoderma hergianum. It is, I am mentioning here, it is a fungus commonly used as a biocontrol to protect the plants from root-borne pathogens. Okay, it is used as a biocontrol. It is used as a biocontrol to protect what? To protect the plants from root-borne pathogens. Means there are many of the pathogens which will be enter the plant through root. Okay, when they are entering through root, what happens? Overall the plant will be suffering from those all kind of the pathogens. To get rid of these root-borne pathogens, we are using the Trichoderma hergianum fungus. Why? Because it produces some chemical which will be block the growth of other fungal growth. Okay, what is that chemical? The chemical which is produced by this fungus is called trichodermin. This is a chemical name, children. Okay, when this chemical is released by this fungus, what happens? That chemical will block the growth of the other fungi which will be enter into the root. As it is useful, we are going to use this trichoderma as a biocontrol. And then rather than this, many of the natural insecticides are there. Those natural insecticides I am going to give you. Many of the natural insecticides name I am going to give you. Natural insecticides are the insecticides which are come across in the nature by the plants. Okay. Examples. First one, rotenone. Rotenone is a natural insecticide, natural insecticide which come from a plant derris. And then second one, azadirachtin. I think everybody know about this azadirachtin, which is actually a chemical or else natural insecticide which produces from the neem. And then third one is pyrethrin. Pyrethrin is produced by chrysanthemum species. These are the plants which are able to produce these natural insecticide. These natural insecticides we can use for the controlling of many of the insects which are very, very harmful for our crops. Okay, this is about the many of the microbes. Either it may be fungus, either it may be bacteria, either it may be virus also. We are going to use as a control agent which to get rid from the many of the weedicides and then insecticide. Now this is the winding of the class. For tomorrow we are going to deal with the microbes used as a biofertilizers, and that will be the last session, the last lecture of this chapter. So we are just step back to the end of the chapter, childrens. Bye. Thank you.